My name is Sarah Carter. I'm a 28-year-old freelance photographer, and hiking is my escape from the chaos of everyday life. For me, the trail is where I find inspiration and solitude. That's why, on a warm July morning, I packed my gear, grabbed my camera, and drove to Ashen Hollow, a place I'd heard about from a friend. She said it was untouched, quiet, and full of hidden beauty. Perfect for my next project. As I walked deeper into the woods, the world around me seemed to change. The sunlight streaming through the trees, the soft crunch of leaves under my boots, it was magical. I stopped every few minutes to snap photos of the light, the textures, the sheer stillness of the place. It was everything I had hoped for. But as I kept walking, the air began to shift. The sounds of birds and rustling leaves faded away, replaced by an eerie silence. It was just me and the trail, and it was starting to feel too quiet. I stopped to catch my breath and check my photos. That's when I noticed something strange. My phone, which had no service when I arrived, suddenly had full bars. Ashen Hollow was supposed to be a dead zone, no signal, no reception. I shrugged it off as a lucky break and continued walking, but the thought lingered in the back of my mind. Was it really just a coincidence? The trail became darker as I ventured further. The sunlight, once bright and warm, was now struggling to penetrate the thick canopy above. The air grew cooler, and the silence felt heavy, almost suffocating. I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched. I stopped to take a photo of the trail ahead, hoping to capture the strange beauty of the moment, but the unease wouldn't go away. Then, out of nowhere, my phone rang. I froze, looking down at the glowing screen. The number wasn't normal, just a string of random digits, like some kind of glitch. My heart skipped a beat. This forest wasn't supposed to have reception. And yet, there it was, full bars and a call from something. I didn't answer it, not at first, but the ringing wouldn't stop. Quit. My curiosity got the better of me. I finally answered the call. At first, there was just static, loud, grating static that made my skin crawl. Then, I heard it, a voice, faint and distorted, whispering my name. Sarah, Sarah. It didn't sound like anyone I knew. It didn't even sound human. I spun around, expecting to see someone, but there was nothing. Just trees and mist. My hands trembled as the voice grew louder, closer, like it was right behind me. The air had turned ice cold, and the forest felt alive. Shadows seemed to shift in the corners of my vision. The voice kept calling my name, but when I asked who it was, there was no response. I felt my breath quicken. My instincts screamed at me to run, but I couldn't move. I was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear. I didn't know how long I stood there, clutching my phone like a lifeline. The voice had stopped, but the air around me felt heavy, charged with something I couldn't explain. The mist grew thicker, and the shifting shadow seemed closer. Now, I finally found the strength to move, to run. But as I glanced down at my phone, I saw it, a photo. One I didn't take. It was me, standing in the woods, looking terrified. And behind me, half hidden by the mist, was a figure. Tall, dark, and faceless. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't taken any photos, and I didn't remember anyone else being there. The realization hit me like a punch. So Miani or something was watching me. Panic took over. I didn't care where I was going. I just knew I had to get out. The trail seemed to twist and turn in ways it hadn't before, as if the forest was alive, trapping me. My heart was pounding, my breath coming in short gasps, and the mist grew so thick I could barely see a few feet ahead. As I ran, my phone started ringing again. That same, haunting number, random digits glowing on the screen. The sound was deafening, cutting through the silence of the woods. I wanted to throw it away, but I couldn't let go. It felt like the only connection I had to the outside world. I didn't answer, I couldn't, but the ringing wouldn't stop. The trail was no longer familiar. Every turn led me deeper into the fog, the trees closing in like walls. The ringing grew louder, more insistent, like it was inside my head. I screamed into the empty woods, hoping Samionani would hear me. But the only answer was the sound of my own voice, echoing back at me. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the ringing stopped. The silence was worse. My phone screen went dark, and I was left alone in the mist, unable to tell which way I had come. I thought I heard footsteps behind me, slow and deliberate, crunching the leaves. When I turned, there was nothing, but I knew I wasn't alone. The mist had swallowed everything: the trail, the trees, even the sound of my footsteps. I found myself in a clearing, but it wasn't a relief. It was worse. The silence was deafening, and the fog seemed thicker here, almost alive, twisting and shifting around me. My phone screen was dark, and for the first time, I felt completely cut off from the world. That's when I saw it. At first, it was just a shape in the mist. A tall, dark figure standing at the edge of the clearing. It didn't move, but I felt its eyes on me if it even had eyes. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body refused to move. The figure raised an arm, pointing to something behind me. Against every instinct, I turned.